What's
Tulsi
this?
Gabbard. Have you heard? Have you heard what she did recently?
You know, I know her name was in the news recently, but I don't
Am
remember
I
what.
breaking up?
No, you're not breaking up. Go ahead. What?
Okay. So she's getting slammed by the left for a couple of things that she just did. One of which was introducing a bill, which would now let me see if I can find the name of it, because what she's calling it is different than, of course, what they're saying. Okay, here it is. Now the media is all telling you what to think about it in the headline. They're calling it anti-trans.
Uh-oh.
They're calling it bigoted. In the headline itself, they're editorializing
Of
in the
course.
headline. Here's one of them. Put this one up.
Where's what am I seeing? Oh, here we
It's
go.
on Signal.
All right. Let's take a look. Let's see what we got.
And if you're new to the show, maybe you don't know, but I
Okay, so
voted for Tulsi. Tulsi was one of the only Democrats running who wasn't preaching wokeism, and I also liked her anti-interventionist approach. And there's a lot of reasons why I like Tulsi Gabbard. I think she is sincere, which I know doesn't matter to some people, but it matters to me. It's also why I voted for Bernie in 2016, because I thought he was, or part of the reason why is I thought he was sincere. Um, but she was, the other reason that I was interested in her was because of the way she was mobbed by the cathedral, by the legacy media, and by the left, by the social justice left. They treated her the way they treat Trump, which, as you pointed out before, Carter, if the cathedral, if the deep state, if the woke media, if they're all going after someone, well, now I'm suddenly interested. And why?
yeah,
You know,
it's one of
why?
the best advertisements they can do for someone is to hate on them and tell us they're horrible. And
Right.
that means they're worth
So
looking into.
yeah,
Okay.
so I sent you the Huffington Post link about this too, because they're even more biased in their headline and their coverage, of course.
Yeah. Which
Yeah,
one do
let's
you want to
read from
see
the
first?
Huffington Post. Let's read the Huffington Post one because it's just over the top.
Okay.
You want to read it?
So yeah, sure. So it says Tulsi Gabbard introduces anti-transgender bill after claiming to be LGBTQ friendly. Yeah, that's a pretty neutral headline, right? The white Democrat has drafted a bill to bar schools from receiving federal funds if they allow transgender girls and women to compete in women's sports. Yeah, okay. So she's trying to protect women from. Yeah, okay. That's annoying video. Representative Tulsi Gabbard introduced legislation in the House on Thursday that would bar schools from receiving federal funding if they allow transgender girls and women and non-binary people to compete on sports teams consistent with their gender identities. The bill, co-sponsored by Republican Mark Wayne Mullen, was met with immediate outrage from transgender activists, from loud, radical, not representative of most transgender people activists and allies who labeled the legislation blatantly transphobic. Of course, it's called, she named it well. She knows how to name. The Protect Women's Sports Act seeks to clarify that Title IX protections are for female athletes, are based on biological sex. Yeah. Well, she's right. They were. Title IX protects people from the discrimination based on sex in educational programs that receive federal financial assistance. The new bill would bar schools from receiving such funds if they permit, quote, a person whose biological sex at birth is male to participate in an athletic program or activity that is designated for women or girls. So that's pretty clear. That means if your biological sex is ambiguous because you're intersex at birth, you're not barred. So they're being very generous. A similar bill was introduced in the
Yeah.
Senate. There you go.
Yeah. So they're all over her, of course, and they're calling her a transphobe. I mean, it's right there in the headline. Instead of
Yeah.
referring to it, but what she named it, of course, she's smart about naming and branding too. She's basically saying it's pro-woman. They're saying it's anti-trans. And what I'm getting sick of the people who are in the cathedral echo chamber, people like I used to be, who at this point, I'm just wondering, can you not see, do you not feel condescended to that they're telling you what to think in the headline? They're editorializing in the headline.
They don't.
Because
they don't want to think. So they're outsourcing their thinking to Huffington Post. So they want headlines that tell them what to think, so they can go make memes and scream and virtue signal. So it's, they're not looking for information about reality. They're looking for weapons they can use at the office water cooler and on Twitter. So it saves them the trouble of having to analyze the bill and decide for themselves whether or not it's transphobic and have an opinion about it. What they're looking for is a quick virtue signal. So it's like a fast food of virtue signaling, right?
Yeah.
The harder thing is to read it yourself. But
okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I had a friend who is progressive, not social justice oriented, but an actual progressive, more like Jimmy Dore. And he was talking about this with me, or he sent it to me and was just like wondering what's going to happen with her. Is she going to stay in the Democratic Party?
I don't know. I mean, I know I don't know what you mean when you say someone's progressive and not social justice-y. So
we've had this conversation before. You don't get it, but I do. Okay. Well, anyway, open up this one more article about her. The reason I ask is because the left is pissed at her about her pro-woman bill. They're calling it anti-trans. Now, at the same time, they're angry over another bill of hers that they're saying, get this, is anti-woman. This bill's anti-woman. The other bill's anti-trans. Read this one.
Tulsi Gabbard getting slammed from left over bill protecting abortion survivors. Representative Tulsi Gabbard is facing a wave of backlash from the left after she introduced legislation designed to ensure infants receive proper medical care after surviving abortions. How's that anti-woman? Introduced on Tuesday, the amendment bore resemblance to another Born Alive bill that House Democrats rejected earlier this year. Someone on Twitter argued that Gabbard was attacking women's rights and trying to address a non-existent problem. Well, if it's a non-existent problem, let it get addressed. Who cares? She introduced a redundant bill that claims to protect infants in the infinitesimally rare cases they are born. You mean like after attempted abortions? Infants are already legally protected. But in fact, just criminalizes doctors, vilifies women, and fearmongers about abortion. Okay, well, I mean...
So if it's not happening, okay, if babies who survive abortions are not being allowed to die and are not being denied, treatment, life-saving treatment after they've been born, then why would this bill bother you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't like extra legislation for no reason, but I don't get this. I don't know the details here. So she's claiming it's already illegal. I don't know.
The truth is, and I'll tell you from someone who was in that cult, that SJW cult, they view any it's almost, the way that you're a Second Amendment absolutist.
I do know the way I am.
Okay. Okay. And any bill I would say you typically, at least to me, you seem to view as an infringement. And
well, any bill that infringes is an infringement. That's correct.
Yeah, but there are for example, we've talked about in the past, there are certain things that I wouldn't have a problem with that I think might, for example, I think that states should be required to report, report anyone who has been adjudicated as mentally unfit to NCIS. to the background check system.
Right. But I don't think
And
there should be an NCIS. So.
And you don't think there should even be an NCIS. So say, for example, so
because that's an infringement. It means you can't get a gun.
You view that as an infringement. Okay. So I think it's almost the same thing. These abortion people who are in this cult of woke are encouraged to, it's not simply enough to say, I think abortion should be legal. They also want you to say any type of legislation around limits or protecting, for example,
in this case. This isn't even a limit around it.
Yeah, but they view it all as an infringement, as some kind of slippery slope of you're just trying to do away with abortion. That's the way they view it.
All right. Well, I mean, okay. I don't know the details of this one, but I do get that they're being hypocritical because that's what they do.